Hi everyone, I'm NB. Welcome if you're new and welcome back if you're not. I've recently made a psychoanalysis on the elevator from Genshin Impact, and thus I decided, why not do it again? This time I'm taking my wonderful friend's suggestion to analyze fischl, the Prinzessinnende Verhütelung or something. So my hypothesis is that she may have BPD or borderline personality disorder. This one I came up with without seeing anyone else say it first, so I have no real basis outside of the evidence I found myself, so this one's more of a shot in the dark. So for the best. Keep in mind that I'm not a psychologist, and this is just my theory based on evidence I found, specifically in her mirage. If I say anything that's false, let me know and I will add a disclaimer to the pinned comment correcting it. If I say anything ignorant, make sure to tell me, don't hold back. Section 1. Emotional Highs. In the mirage event, fischl confronts the darkest part of her and argues with her in the depths of her own imagination. Naturally, this provokes some emotional highs, but hers are especially high. This entire situation is in relation to her emotions. Her positive emotions are fischl and what she wants people to see her as. She is the angelic princessin. Her darker and fancier counterpart is her negative emotions. She's the fallen angel that embodies the narcissism and self-loathing fischl has and hides from the world around her. She starts off with an understanding of what's about to go on. She then has to confront her anger, her fear, the parts of her that she thought she buried, and it terrifies her. She breaks down sobbing simply upon the realization that she isn't what she thought she was. Even if she knew she was every part of her, even the negative parts, she didn't want to confront it. She then burns with rage and is determined to destroy the darkest part of herself before eventually realizing that they will always be a part of her regardless, and finally accepting them. They unite and she finds a new confidence. See, I just described 6 emotions and I didn't even go that far in depth. There's a lot to the specific predicament. People with borderline personality disorder often have huge emotional highs and can switch between them in erratic manners. This is definitely a behavior that fischl is displaying, and she's generally on emotional highs even outside of this. Usually they're positive because, as I said, she tries to bury the negative parts of her beneath the facade of a perfect princessin. Section 2. Abandonment Issues. Fischl is very much dependent on Oz. He is her translator, her companion, her closest friend. After all, he's a figment of her imagination. He's the embodiment of the term imaginary friend, there for her when no one else is willing or able. However, near the beginning of her interaction with her least favorite part of herself, Oz seemingly betrays her and joins her negativity. She immediately responds to this with anger and dismay, sparking defensiveness. When she is arguing with her counterpart on the same level, both literally and metaphorically, when Oz speaks, she tells him that he must have some nerve to open his trade or speak. While he wasn't betraying her, she still interpreted it as such, and was incredibly upset about it, once again displaying an emotional high. People with BPD tend to have abandonment issues and are incredibly sensitive with the topic and idea. She definitely portrays this fear of abandonment, as her first display of genuine fear was when he leaves her side. He's the only friend she's had that has seen the best and the worst of her, and left her alone. Or at least that's how she saw it. In the end, she was so afraid of him leaving her that it clouded her judgment and reasoning and led to general impulsivity. Section 3. Sensitivity to criticism. Fischl in general has shown sensitivity to criticism, but in this mirage it's even more evident. After Oz leaves her, Mona asks fischl if she's ever taught him about loyalty, to which she immediately and defensively responds, telling her that now is not the time to discuss her shortcomings. She also literally says that she can't cope with criticism. Criticism can often be seen as rejection, which is a form of abandonment, and considering fischl's clouded judgment at this moment especially, she is not in the right headspace for criticism if she ever is. People with BPD can be sensitive to criticism, seeing as it can be interpreted as rejection, and fischl was definitely displaying this. The anxiety that is sort of showing at the moment could be interpreted as yet another emotional high, and another idea blocking her vision from being able to unite the 2 parts of herself she has separated for so long. When her counterpart is criticizing her, it's the person she hates the most exposing every part of her she wants to bury to her friends. It's possible that she feels this criticism could lead to abandonment. Again, the sensitivity to criticism is very closely linked to the fear of abandonment. Section 4. Desire for validation. When Oz is describing fischl, he says she's afraid of others' gossip yet yearns for their respect. Fischl essentially is afraid of what others might say about her but wants them to respect her. People with BPD tend to crave attention and validation to cope with the insecurities that build due to the disorder. This entire scene is about her facing her insecurities, and she realizes that it's okay to have insecurities and flaws because of the validation she receives. While generally coping mechanisms that rely on external forces outside of your control aren't usually healthy, this time it helped her understand that she doesn't need to cope. All she needs to do is strive to better herself, and while the flaws will always be there, she still has control because she can acknowledge them and doesn't feel the need to bury them anymore. The Throughout her entire life, she's been bullied for being an imaginative bookworm, which has led her to creating another identity and pretending to be the perfect princess in the hopes that people will like her. She's never had many friends because of her identity, and now her friends are helping her understand it. In the end, healthy validation was the spark she needed to light her flame. Section 5. Imagination. Fischl is known for her incredible imagination. It's her source of power and comfort. She created an entire universe in her head. While I haven't found any reliable source specifically stating that BPD is linked to any kind of greater imagination, her imagination is very much linked to her emotions, which is something BPD does affect. She started creating this world because she was upset about the fact that people she craved respect from seemed to hate her, and because of this she retreated into herself and created a vast expanse, and with it, an ideal version of herself. The entire universe, along with the two fischls, are representative of her emotional highs and how she tries to bury the negative ones. She calls the Immernachtreich of paradise, and yet there's no music, perhaps symbolizing that no matter how much she pretends, there has always been something missing. It's supposed to play off her positive traits, but her unwillingness to accept her flaws has subconsciously corroded her so-called paradise. She has convinced herself she has control, but she's never had healthy ways to cope with her BPD, and so she's never been truly the one ruling herself. Her fancier counterpart was the one with control all along, and that's why she has the appearance of her counterpart when they merge, because now she's the one who's truly in control. And that's about it. This video was a bit different than my last video because I talked a lot about the meaning of the scene as well as the BPD thing. Feel free to comment down below what you think. I'm a little annoyed with how I analyzed the scene as well on accident, but I've always sucked at staying on topic anyways, we'll live. If you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and if you'd like, you can comment a character you want me to analyze. Goodbye!